Testing. Hey, if you're going to join us for the FCA classes, we're going to get started. I know we got a lot going on today. And so we're going to get started because I know we've got the coffee shop still going. We've got a lot going on. However, we do have a time frame to work in. And so we're going to go ahead and get started today. So this is the classroom mission field. And for those that I have not met yet, my name is Brother Eric Williams. And I'm here at the First Pentecostal Church here in Union City under Pastor Dwayne Uzzle. And we are excited that you're here today. I will say, starting out, I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the right go-to things, but we've been doing this for a couple of years now, and God has opened many doors for us. So just to give you a little background of what we've done, where we're at, since March of 2023, our church has partnered with Fellowship Christian Athletes, or the FCA, and it's opened a remarkable door for us into the lives of students all across our area. It started with one school, and it has grown now. I believe I was talking to, I can't remember who it was, maybe Brother Pelletier earlier, but I believe, or Brother Leal, I believe we are in 8 different schools now. I know I go to some weekly, and I go to some monthly. And so the way this all began for us, a lady in our church was a school teacher, Sister Bullock. She was a school teacher, and she invited us in. We were able to go. We were able to pray with some of the staff and speak to the teacher, and the teachers, I apologize, and also speak at their FCA. The way that FCA was set up is they met every Wednesday morning before school, and they met in the cafeteria. There was like 35 in that area, depending on the given week. Different students that would come, and they would meet from, say, 7:40 to 8 o'clock. And so we have been going to that school since March of 2023. This morning is the school, that's the same school that we went to. We had 306 students that attended that FCA. And so God has grown that exponentially. It's blown our minds. We reach right at 250 to 300 students at that particular school every week. I go there every Wednesday morning. Not only do we go there and talk to the kids, but that school has offered us, we meet on Wednesdays at 7:20. We meet and we have prayer with the staff and offer staff prayer in the library before we go and do the FCAs. And so, I will tell you in the beginning, I don't know it all. I don't know. It's just God's opened the doors. We are just happy and grateful to walk through them. I don't have all, it's not a turnkey thing. I don't have all the push buttons. But what we have done is we have been invited into these schools, and God has blessed us. Last year we taught 7,182 Bible studies in our public school system in this area. This year, God has opened so many more doors for us in our school systems. We currently go to 4 school systems weekly and 3 school systems monthly. From July 31st until now, we have taught, including today's children's church at Hillcrest, we have taught 4,325 Bible studies in our local schools this year, since July the 31st. God is blowing our minds. It's crazy what God's doing in our area. We have some schools that we go monthly to. They have time set apart for us to come, and we do it monthly. We do it weekly at some schools. On Tuesdays, I go to our local high school. On Wednesdays, I go to one elementary school. On Thursdays, go to another elementary school. And then my Fridays, I usually go to one of the ones that is once a month. I have 3 that's once a month. So, how does it work? I'm not good at notes, and I sure ain't a teacher, so it just is what it is at this point. It's just me, so y'all just going to have to deal with it. So what happens? What do we do? I want to show y'all a real life how it works and what to expect. First, number 1, what I want to tell you is that you need to not only pray about this, but you need to talk to your leadership about this. Any endeavor that you're going to do, you need to get spiritual authorities' approval in your life. Second, I want to tell you is this. You don't have to be, I know it's called Fellowship Christian Athletes. You don't have to be involved in sports in order to be a part of this. We do not do organized sports around here. And however, it is just the door that God has opened up for us to be able to get in. It is just the way that we're able. It is a national Christian club. It is in every city. It is in every state. It is in most every school. And if they don't have one, then it wouldn't be that hard to start one up, because it is a national, East Coast, West Coast, North, South. It doesn't matter where you're at. This group, it's everywhere. You don't have to be signed up with the FCA to be able to help. All you have to do is get in contact with the FCA that's already started. All you have to do is get in contact with your local school. So I was blessed with being able to be invited in by a school teacher. FCAs are sponsored by a teacher. That's the only way that they're able to happen. So there has to be a teacher over this at a school. You can't just have a student running it. Now, they do like student involvement. However, you have to have a teacher to be over it. And so I was fortunate enough that I was invited in by a teacher, and then it has kind of just spread. What happened is once we had a little bit of success with the FCA at Hillcrest Elementary, which is the first school that we started at, then I got in with the local FCA rep. She's over this whole area, and she wanted us to go into another school, and then she offered us to another school. And so what has happened, what I've noticed over the last couple of years is once the door's opened, then we can get in there and we can experience the revival that we've seen. But the first hurdle is getting in the door. So if I didn't have an in already, if I didn't have somebody to let me in already, what I would do is this. Brother Leo, what's the local school close to you? Neosho High School? So if I was wanting to get into the Neosho High School, what I would do is this. Number 1, I would contact the school. I would just call. You have not because you ask not. And so, knock and it shall be given open unto you. Seek and ye shall find. Ask and it shall be given unto you. So, you have not because you ask not. And so, just call the school. You're going to get the front secretary. 90% around here, she's going to say, hello, Lake Road Elementary or Neosho High School. Hey, I'm Zachary Leal with the, First Apostolic Church? I'm sorry? Apostolic Lighthouse here in Neosho. We just wanted to reach out and see if you guys done anything with like an FCA. She may say, what's FCA? Fellowship Christian Athletes. It's just the Christian club that is for athletes in your schools. Do you guys, oh yeah, Coach so-and-so's over that. Well, hey, we just wanted to reach out and be able to help. We just wanted to reach out and see if there's anything that we can do. Is there any way you could put me in contact with Coach Davis, right? And so at that point, you have your in. You have your way of getting into the school. If that don't work, you can go to the FCA. Just Google it. FCA in Neosho, Missouri. And it's going to pull you to the FCA website. And it's got a registry. It's got accessibility on there. If that don't work, call me. I'm part of the FCA now. Get a hold of me. I will call the people. I just talked to my rep about a church down in Memphis that's wanting to get involved. She's put me in contact with the right people. We will be able to try in some form, some way, connect you into the school close by. And so, but the first thing that you have to do is just ask. You just have to get involved. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be a wide open door every time. There's one school that I go to, or that I started going to last year, and it wasn't a wide open deal. I had to get in on a rotation. I had to get in on a speaking rotation. They had several churches around and people around that wanted to reach out and help with the FCA. And so I was in on a rotation. I only got like every 3 weeks. But as Pastor said earlier, if you're consistent with it, then the door will open up even more. That particular school, I went every week, but I only got to speak every 3 weeks. I was there every week. I was walking the halls every week, promoting FCA every week, but I wasn't the speaker every week. But what it allowed is it allows your face in the school. The first thing you're going to have to build once you get in that door is trust. These are a public school system, and they have very strict regulations. They have very strict rules that they have to follow through with. And so we have to be, the Bible says, he that winneth souls is wise. And so we have to be wise when we go into these settings. The first thing you're going to have to build is their trust. Because if we come in there and we're guns blazing and we are wide open and we are teaching doctrine straight out the gate and we're ramming it down their throat straight out the gate, then they're not going to let us come and talk to their kids all the time. They're not going to allow us to come in and reach these kids. I have a saying, I guess, is you can sprinkle truth in on top of a cake and they'll eat it. But if you try to force feed them a steak, they're going to reject it. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And so if you sprinkle truth in a little bit at a time and build that trust with them, consistency builds trust. Consistency builds trust. And so this is just, FCA is just the way that we get in the door. It's just our open door. And so when we get there, serve in whatever capacity you can serve in. Volunteer for it. Whatever capacity you can volunteer for. I volunteered for just praying. I volunteered for, hey, I'll just be here. Y'all ain't got to use me. Y'all ain't got to have me do anything. I just want to be here. And what that allows is once they see your availability in our area, I don't know about your area, but in our area, there's not a lot of people willing to get up and get to a school at 7:30 in the morning just to spend 20 minutes time with a handful of kids. It doesn't pay in great dividends. And so people pay in great dividends because they don't pay at all. So there's not a big list, I guess you can say. But if you have somebody that is willing, I'm going to be there every week. Come, I don't care if you use me. I don't care what you do. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at that school, and I'm going to be saying, hey, kiddos, how y'all doing? Here's one thing I do, and I might be a little scattered, but just when I think about it, here's one thing I do. Everybody gets a fist bump. Everybody gets a fist bump. Fist bump is connections. And everywhere I make a connection, you had to look at me in order for you to be able to connect with me, right? Ain't nobody fist bumping and not looking at you, right? And the more that they see you, the more familiar they are with you. And then what you'll notice is this, you'll be at Walmart and you'll have a student come up and they'll say, Brother Leo, how you doing today? Fist bump. It's almost become a staple at these schools that I go to. I learned it from Brother Brandon Uzzle. He works in the school systems. He says, man, I give fist bumps out all the time. I give fist bumps out. What it does is it allows you to connect with me. in a somewhat intimate but not very invasive way whenever I fist bump you. I'm able to fist bump you. I fist bumped 300 kids today as they were coming out the halls. We were fist bumping like crazy. Why? Because I want them to connect with me. Because my ultimate goal is to build trust. My ultimate goal is to build a relationship with them. Now, another thing, make it fun. I have Brother Jordan Davis helps me with one of my FCAs, and he told me, he said, whenever I was in school, FCAs was boring, like boring. He said what would happen is I don't know, was it before a game or before something, they would come in before practice, somebody would come in, everybody would sit down, and they would open their Bible, and they would talk like this. Now, God loves you, and God cares about you, and I'm going to be honest with you, Brother Davis didn't care one lick what that dude was saying, right? And if you go into these schools, I mean, I treat it like a Sunday school. Are you guys all Sunday school workers? Do y'all normally work in your Sunday schools? If you go into your Sunday school class and you're like, all right, today, class, we're going to talk about Jonah and the whale. They're done with you. Out the gate, they're done with you. Maybe not where you are from, but like these kids around here that we deal with, like they're done. They don't care if you're just. And so I make everything exciting. I try to make everything fun, over exuberant. I try to, hey man, how you doing this morning? Y'all doing okay? Everybody doing good? Fist bumps. Everybody doing good? We're doing good. I'm doing this as I'm walking down the hallways. I'm doing this. I've walked the halls of every one of these schools around here, and I'm saying, what's going on, man? How you doing? You doing good? Good to see you this morning. Y'all doing okay? Good to see y'all. I'm making fist bumps and contact with everybody. If your energy's up, their energy's going to be up. If you're in charge and you're alive and you're ready to go, they're going to be ready. They're going to be ready to receive it. So make it fun. Now, whenever I get into a school, 99% time, my first lesson is fire. Y'all know the fire lesson? Do y'all know all know the fire lesson? I'm going to teach y'all one real quick. Brother Bradshaw, you stay right there in that chair. No, little Bradshaw. That's a joke. He lit this place on fire one time. Anyway, I do the fire lesson. It's not expensive, and it's not hard. Anybody could do it. It's easy, okay? It's easy to do. Soap, butane, water, and fire. It's pretty cool. But it gets a big reaction out of the kids every single time. It's going to get a reaction out of the adults every single time. Because everybody wants to see somebody get lit on fire. It's crazy. I've never went into a school and said, we're going to light Mr. Lil on fire today. And they're like, nah, that's not what we want to see. No, every time I'm like, we lighting him on fire today. Yes! Light it up! They're excited. You've got to make it fun. You've got to make it enjoyable. You've got to make it where they want to come back next week, or you're never going to have success. And so, once you get in the door, once you get into a school, and again, if you have trouble getting into your school, if you're trying to get into a school and you need to be able to connect with them, get in contact with me. I'll help you out as best as I can. We'll call, we'll find out some way, somehow. But once we get there, okay, are we good going there? Once we get there, you've got to make it fun. You've got to make it exciting. You've got to make it to where you can go, all right, here we go, kids. Here's what we're going to do. I had a towel. Here's what we're going to do, kids. Today, and as I'm walking the halls, I'm saying this. Today, I'm going to light myself on fire. You want to go to the gym. Today, I am lighting myself on fire in the gym. You don't want to miss it. Today, you don't want to miss FCA in the gym. Lighten it up right now. Okay? I'm promoting. I'm pumping. I'm excited. You have to be what you want them to be. If you want them to be excited, you got to be excited. Okay? So I say here, look, today, FCA, we're lighting myself on fire. Now, I've done pumped them up. I've done got them there. Now they want to see something cool. And so I say, look, here's what we do. We're going to light myself on fire. A good lesson for this is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I teach that quite often. Yeah, that's what all the kids do too. Whoa, right? You've got to make it exciting for them. Here's another thing that I do. A lot of times they don't know me, but they know the principal. They know the teacher that they don't like. They know, whoever. And so I'll get staff involved, right? That's a cool little flashbang lesson. I'll get staff involved. I'll be saying, and y'all do what y'all do, but this is just me. I'm like, hey, today we are, what's your name? I can't remember. Ryan? Today we are lighting Ryan on fire today. Y'all need to come down to the gym. Y'all know the PE coach down in the gym? We're lighting him on fire today, okay? Then I go by Ryan and I go, hey, bro, we're lighting you on fire today, okay? Are you cool with that? All right. And so I make it as fun as I possibly can. I've done anything to make it fun, right? Literally, quite literally, anything. For $20 on Amazon, my wife bought a blow-up chicken costume. And I've stood out where the buses come in, and I've danced in a chicken costume just to make it fun for the kids. You want to try it on? No. You look like you wanted to try it on. I try my best to make it fun for the kids. You've got to make it exciting. You've got to make them want to come back. You've got to be the one that is promoting it. I'm just going to be honest with you. A lot of the teacher sponsors that's over it, they're just over it because they were asked to be over it. And whenever they have somebody that'll come in and be consistent, number one, consistent. And number two, that is excited and they're glad to be there and they're connecting with the kids, then them kids are going to eat it up. And that teacher, she said, oh, Ryan will do it every week. And all I got to do is show up. Got it. That's just what I've noticed in the school system. That's just what works here. And again, it may be different. It's not a cookie cutter deal. You may have some obstacles that you've got to go through. I'm just telling you what we've experienced around here. And so you've got to make it fun. You've got to make it exciting. I do object lessons. I try to teach with object lessons. It's the same concept as Sunday schools. Okay? If you want your Sunday school to be exciting, then you've got to be excited. I've learned from you guys. Some of you, I really don't know who I've learned from, to be honest with you. ApostolicSundaySchools.com. They'll teach you all kinds of stuff. ApostolicSundaySchool.com. They'll teach you all kind of object lessons. And so I've just used what we use in Sunday school. Here's another deal that I have. If I'm able to, some schools I'm not able to just due to the setting. Some schools are going to meet in the library. Some schools are going to meet in the cafeteria. Some's going to meet just in a classroom, computer lab. I've met in just about every form of a room in a school. And so if you're able to, I always have music going. If you don't have music capability at the school, go buy you a little speaker and walk around with music. Kids like music. And so I'm walking around, and I'm not walking around with amazing. No, I've got something that's going to keep them excited. I've got something that's going to keep it bumping for them. I got something that's going to keep relative to them. And so I'm walking in, we're excited, we're fist bumping, I'm promoting, we're going to the gym, we're going to have a good time. You've got to make them want to come back. A lot of schools, I deal a lot in elementary schools. You're going to be dealing with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders a lot. 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And so that's pretty much the age range in this area that I deal with. Now, there is a couple of schools that have allowed 4th and 5th grade to come in. And so in that, you have to be all things to all students. And so what's cool for a 4th grader probably ain't cool for an 8th grader. And so that's why, like today when we had the children's church, my 8th graders probably may not have connected with, what was the puppet? With G-Ref. My 8th graders may not have connected with G-Ref. But whenever Brother Leo was laying on the ground and Brother Bradshaw was kicking him in the side, my 8th graders was like, yeah, do it. Kick him again. That happened. Lesson on the Good Samaritan. That happened. And so you've got to make it connect with everybody across the room. You've got to make it connect with everybody. Now, I try to keep it fun. I try to keep it exciting. Here's another thing that I do when I'm in the schools. I offer challenges, okay? So here's what I would do. Y'all are my FCA today. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 25, 26, 27, 28. 28, I would promote it like this. All right, today, great number. So excited that everyone was here. Next week, if we had 28 here this week, I think we can get 40 next week. And if we can get 40 next week, then we're going to pie a teacher in the face. We're getting 40 next week at that point, right? For instance, today, my challenge. If we have 300 show up today to watch the children's church, next week at FCA, I'm building an ice cream sundae on my head. Well, guess what? We had 306. So next week, I'm going to be sitting in the gymnasium, and a teacher is going to build an ice cream sundae on top of my head. Why? Because it keeps the kids excited, but it also gives them a reason to come back next week. And so if I keep them excited and I keep them involved and I keep them engaged, then I'm always able to build on that, right? Now, you can't have a gimmick every week, right? Because then it gets old. And so I've done, hey, listen, if we run 100 for 2 weeks in a row, if we hit 50 by fall break, whatever, you'll get in there and you'll fill it out. You'll know where that's at. But it's wherever and whatever I can do to keep these kids excited. I've done all kind of stuff. I've let them tape me to a wall. I've bought the chicken costume and danced out by the road. Pies. I've done, they throwed water balloons at me one time. That hurt. That's bad. Don't do that. Zero recommendation. Don't do that. 150 8th graders hurling water balloons at you. Not fun. So whatever it is that you can do, a pie in the face, everybody loves. Everybody loves that. Get involved with them, and then get the staff involved. Get the staff involved. I had Brother Davis, what was that guy in Fulton's name? Was he the superintendent? Mr. Sullivan, one of the schools that we went to. We was just like this. We was promoting it. We done lit ourselves on fire. We was having a good time. And I said, if we can get 100 next week, Mr. Sullivan said he'll take a pie to the face. He's the superintendent of the school district. He was just happened to be there. He said, I said, what? I said, Mr. Sullivan said he'd take a pie in the face. He said, it's for the kids. Cool. Well, the next month, I think we go there once a month. The next month, Mr. Sullivan was there. We hit our goal, and we put a pie in his face. And the kids loved it. And from that, we had 2 kids that used to ride our bus. They were back, was it last Sunday? They were back last Sunday. Because I come into their school, me and Brother Davis go into their school, and we connected with them. And we fist bumped, and we made it exciting. And, hey, man, good to see you. Ain't seen you on the bus in a while. In your area, if you're running buses in your area, and you're running buses and you got things going on, you're going to see kids in the school system that come to your church on Sunday. It's just another way to connect with them. It's just another way to be able to bring them to the church, right? And so, some do's and don'ts, and we'll end it with questions. Some do's and don'ts. I don't go in and I don't preach. I don't. I go in and have Sunday school. I don't go in and I don't say, now, here's the deal, kids. If you ain't doing X, Y, and Z, you're going to hell. I don't do that. You're not going to win nobody that way. And those kids, they're turning you off that way. I teach the love of Jesus. I teach that God will carry you through. Pastor had the statistics today in his opening statements. When we're going into these school systems, we're reaching kids that are fighting mental health problems that would blow your mind. We're going in and there's kids that's going home to a broken home. I treat it as though it's Sunday school. I treat it as though, hey, these kids, I want to bring the love of Jesus to them. And now, When we get them here, we'll teach them here. When we get them here, we'll teach them. Because you got to remember your setting. You're in a public school system. And they're allowing you to come in. And they're allowing you to be able to be a voice in there. And so, before we do Q&As, I don't preach to them. I have fun. I keep it exciting. I do object lessons. I play music. I do challenges. And I try to keep it as fun and as upbeat as possible. A good thing, if you have teens or students in your Sunday school that go to your church and they go to the public school setting, get them involved. I know one of our schools that we are able to go to, every week some of our youth group is playing music like on a piano and singing and leading devotions. And they're reaching 35, 40 kids every week in that school. So if you have kids in your church that are in that school system already, get them involved. Let them do a devotion. I try my best. You'll find out once you get in there. Every school is different. I have one school that I have from 7:45 to 7:57. And if I go to 7:58, the announcements are on, and ain't nobody listening to me. And so it's a time frame deal. So I keep a watch on the clock, make sure that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing, staying inside my time frame. Another school, they said, man, when you're done, we'll start announcements. So I try to keep it 15 minutes or less, 15, 20 minutes or less, because that's about the attention span that you're going to get in these school systems. You have an audience that could range anywhere from 9 years old to 13, 14, up into 16, 17, 18, depending on what kind of school you're going to. On Tuesdays, I go to a high school. What I teach at the elementary school ain't cool to the high school. I done found that out real fast. I was like, y'all want to see a cool object lesson? And it was like, So I was like, oh, okay, let's just do something different. You've got to be able to adapt and be able to move with whatever's going on inside your school system. But I grant you this. If you get in it, if God can open the door for us and let us teach 7,000 Bible studies last year, and let us so far this year, 4,000, let's see, this year, 4,325 Bible studies. This year, God can do it in your city. God wants to do it in your city. But all He's waiting for is somebody to say, I'm willing to go. I'm willing to ask the question, can I be involved in your FCA? I'm willing to take that step and say, can I be involved in what's going on? Every school, I'll say this, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I'll say this. Every school has an FCA. It's everywhere. So there is an open door for you at every school. You can be involved. You can be involved in some capacity. And so if you get the open door, walk through it. So I've got a couple of minutes, and we're going to do questions, if you have any. Yes, ma'am. Hang on. Let's do this.
Has anyone had issues with the fire?
With the fire?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No.
For me, they haven't yet. And the reason they haven't is because I'm like, hey, listen, this is safe. As long as you're not flinging it, it just goes up and out, I've not had any issues. That might be relative to where you're from. From around here, they're pretty cool with it. As long as you don't light stuff on fire and it stay on fire. Like today, Brother Booker, he had exploding bubbles in there. They were fine with that. So I've not experienced any trouble with that yet. No, ma'am.
My other question is, when you're talking about the Bible studies, what Bible studies are you giving, or how is that? What are you teaching, and what are they kids to kids, adults to kids? What are you teaching? So it's adults to kids. It's me teaching the lesson, or if some of the staff here goes with me. Whenever I say that, it is like today. When we went today, if y'all guys wouldn't have been there today, I have 300 kids in the classroom. I'm going to get them quiet, and then I'm just going to teach a Bible lesson. I'll teach,
3 Hebrew boys, for example. I just taught it at Fulton County Schools. 3 Hebrew boys. Well, I done the fire lesson. And so in that, I'm saying, let me just tell y'all a Bible story real quick. There was these 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And the point of the lesson, to get through it, you can walk through the Bible lesson, but they went into the fire and the fire didn't hurt them. Does that make sense? And so, kids, today, I know you're going through peer pressure, you're going through things that is, attacking you, but you don't have to bow down. Okay, you with me? That's my Bible study. I'm just throwing them a Bible lesson in there. And so, in the sense of like a Sunday school lesson. Does that make sense? Does it answer it? Okay. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Is there ever pushback from other Christian churches once they find out an apostolic oneness is in there?
I've not experienced it because here's the deal. It has to be all-inclusive. It's not, and this is one thing that I've said to the FCA rep here, it's fellowship Christian athletes. It's not fellowship apostolic athletes. It's not fellowship Baptist athletes. It's not fellowship Methodist athletes. And so they have to let everybody in. Now, what I have noticed over the last couple of years is a lot of churches don't want to be involved until we're involved and we're running stuff. And you just have to be wise. You just have to be wise with that. I don't ever say, no, Ryan can't teach. It's mine. Like I got FCA. No. Yesterday, today's Friday, yesterday, I went to a school. I was supposed to speak at this school. The teacher that's over the FCA had it mixed up. It's one of my weekly schools. She forgot to tell me that a lady was coming. I went, and whenever I got there, she said, oh, Brother Eric, I'm so sorry. Hannah's here to teach today. I said, no problem. I'll fist bump in the hallway, and I'll go get kids to come down and hear Hannah talk. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be there, and I'm going to say, these, whatever it was, 90 kids, I think it was, in there yesterday, 85, 90 kids. Well, hey, Hannah can talk, but let Brother Eric pray. I'm going to serve in whatever capacity I can serve in because it'll come back around to my turn. And so if other churches are involved, I let everybody be involved. You have to because it's a public setting. And so I've not got any kickback to say, well, the Pentecostals can't come, or whatever, because it's a Christian club. It's not denominational. Does that make sense?
How do you invite them to your church?
How do I invite them to my church?
Yeah.
I do it like this. Hey, at the end of every lesson, at the end of every deal, I done it today. Tonight, 7 o'clock, Children's Church, First Pentecostal Church, 2501 West Main Street. You got to come out. On a normal week when we're not having it, hey, listen, every Friday night, I do it every week at every school. Every Friday night, we have, and this is whenever I'm ending. I've done taught my lesson. They're fixing to go to class. Every Friday night, we have a youth event. If you want to be involved in it, you contact Brother Eric. I'll get you the information. If not, Sunday morning, Sunday night, whenever you want to come to my church, I'm just throwing it out there. Does that make sense? I'm just saying, because if I've got the attention of 150 of them and I blanket them with an invitation, that's the same as me coming through saying, would you come to my church? Would you come? So I throw it out there in my ending remarks. Does that answer it? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Questions? Okay.
Have you gotten, obviously you said FCA's in every school, but has there been pushback from, community or families, against that? Because sometimes you got people who don't want, religion. It's not in the school day, so it's a little different.
Yeah, I've not, but I'm from around here, so everybody goes to church around here. And so, I'm sorry? And that's the deal. Yeah, exactly. The students are not forced to go. Usually it's going to be before school or after school. It's a voluntary-based deal. And so they're not made to go. Whenever I go up and down the hallways, I'm not grabbing little Johnny and get in the gym. No, I'm saying, hey, FCA's down in the gym today. If you want to go, you can go. I've had them tell me, nah. And I'm like, all right, cool. Whatever. And so it's not, I've never seen any kickback in it because there's freedom of religion everywhere. And so if I'm not forcing them, like today, it was a FCA deal that just accidentally ran over a little bit of time because it was before school. Everybody that was there was voluntary. If they didn't want to come, they got a classroom that they could have stayed in. So at that point, if I ever got any kickback on that, I would say, well, tell Susie just to stay in the classroom if she don't want to participate. Make sense? Okay. Any more questions? Yep. My second most liked lesson. My first would be the fire. My second would be the endless water. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain how it works. Brother Bradshaw created this thing for me. And so Apostolic Sunday Schools.net.com, they've got it on there, whatever it is. Is it .com? .com. ApostolicSundaySchools.com. They have it on there. But the endless water one is my second. Any more questions? Hey, thank y'all so much. Go find a school and go teach in it, because Jesus is wanting to work in the schools. Thank y'all.
Test 1, 2. Can y'all hear me good? Awesome. We got, what time is it? What time are we supposed to start? 3:15? How many minutes ago? 3:05 is when we were supposed to start. I've been sitting here waiting on somebody to tell me to go. And I just asked Sister Samantha. She said, I think we're supposed to just go. So I apologize. But we'll try to make the best of this. How long do I have? I was thinking it was 3:15. That's what I get for not looking at my schedule. 3:50? Awesome. We'll jump through it pretty quick. And I do apologize. I was sitting here looking. I was like, surely somebody's going to start this in a minute. But it was me. So, all right. Well, we will dive in. Today, I guess our discussion, for the most part, will be bus ministry outreach. And I do want to start by saying evangelism can't just be directed at bus ministry altogether in and of itself. Evangelism is something we do. It's a lifestyle event. We're always reaching for people. And so we will talk about some practical tips and things, but it will be pretty much a broad view of outreach and evangelism because it all kind of works together. I will start I believe it was May of 2013. I was in this building. This was before we, of course, way before we built the building you was just in. But May of 2013, I believe it was, I was right over here praying one day, sitting off the edge of this altar, and I was in a very, very strange place in my ministry. I was not the pastor of the church at the time. I was a lay minister in the church. And I was watching a lot of my peers, a lot of my friends. They was doing what I would call great things in the kingdom of God, but I felt somewhat limited. I felt a little restricted. I was like, God, what are you going to do with me? And one of the things that thankfully my parents put into us was prayer, daily prayer. My mom and dad was at the church every day praying. And so prayer was a very important part of my life from the time I was a kid till now. And so praying at the church was something I did daily. But that evening, I was right over here, and I was praying, and I began to question God. I said, God, what are you going to do with me? What's your plans for my life? This is, it's 2025, so we're looking 2013. Do the math. How many years ago? 12 years ago. And so it's hard for me to do the math on spot. So, but 12 years ago. So you can see God has done some big things since in the last 12 years. But I was like, God, what are you going to do with me? And as I was praying, of course, I was a young preacher. I had been married a few years. My wife and I got married in January of 2006. So I'd been married a few years and had my first daughter. And I was like, God, what are you going to do with my family? What are we going to do to impact the kingdom? Now, we was doing outreach. We was doing things of that nature. But we did not have a quote-unquote bus ministry. Bus ministry was not even a terminology that we used. We did have a 15-passenger van that we used for youth trips, and we had a 12-passenger van that we picked up 2 or 3 kids and some elderly people that was connected to our church, but not a quote-unquote bus ministry. And I was in here praying. Now, I'll be honest with you, 12 years ago, like a lot of young preachers, I was in my mid-20s, and I was, man, God, what are you going to do with my life? And I was wanting to see, this was before evangelist quarters was a popular thing. I was thinking, a big diesel truck pulling a travel trailer, being an evangelist that traveled the world. I had these great visions of what I thought God wanted to do through me. And I'm telling you, as I prayed, I began to see a vision. Now, I don't see visions much. About right now, I'm seeing a cheeseburger. That's kind of in my head right now. I'm kind of getting a little hungry up here, but I don't have visions much. But this day, I had a vision. And in this vision, I wished if I'd have planned it, I've got pictures of it on my phone. If I'd have planned it, I'd have showed you. But in this vision, I seen a church van. And this church van, it was painted up. It said, Sunday school is cool. VBS every Sunday. It was the coolest looking church van I'd ever seen. I seen it. And I was like, now, God, I'm supposed to be, traveling the country with a travel trailer, not a church bus. I'm supposed to be starting adult work. I'm supposed to be doing all the, but God gave me a vision of a church van. That vision changed everything about my ministry, changed everything about me. And I began to pray, and the more I prayed, I felt a burden. I'm going to tell you, it don't matter how many Saturdays you knock doors, Fridays, whatever your outreach day is. Without a burden, you're going to be ineffective. It's not going to work without a burden. You've really got to have a burden for your community. And I prayed that evening right over here. And as I began to pray, I began to feel the heaviness of my city. I began to feel the heaviness of my community. I went home where I was, at the time, of course, I wasn't pastoring. I was just a lay minister. My father was the pastor. He's the bishop here now. So I called my dad. And because before we do anything, any endeavors that we have to have the covering of our pastor. Good to see some Mississippi folk. I was with you guys a couple weeks ago. But we've got to have the covering of our pastor. And so I called my dad. I said, hey, Dad, I was praying tonight, and God gave me a vision of a bus or van ministry. I said, you know the 15-passenger van that we don't use? All we use it for is to carry the kids to, to meetings. Because at the time, our youth group was a lot smaller than what it is right now. I said, do you mind if I use that to start a van ministry, a bus ministry? He said, man, I don't care. Take it. I said, now I had this vision, and in this vision it said VBS every Sunday. Sunday school is cool. I said, I'm seeing all these graphics when I was praying. I said, do you care if I decorate it up? He said, man, I don't care. For the sake of revival, let's do it. So I was like, well, I got a green light. Kinda. I said, my wife's got to be for this. Because husbands, if wives, this is teamwork. You may be an introvert. He may be an extrovert. As long as you're not a pervert, you're in the right place. So, the kingdom is the place for you. So, and if you are a pervert, we need to pray you through. But and I've seen that a lot of times, opposites attract. So you got a husband that's outgoing, a wife that's not. But you need one another. My wife is very structured, very educated. She's got more degrees than a thermometer. She's just one of those ladies. Very educated, very structured. I am the people person in our family. Like, to the point it drives her crazy. I'm talking to everybody. But it's a healthy balance. But both of you are important when it comes to kingdom work. So I was like, my wife's got to be for this. So I drive home. I'll never forget it. I pull up, I walk in, my wife is folding clothes. And I began to tell her what God had showed me. She immediately began to weep. And I'm like, who made you mad? What's going on? Why are you crying? She said, Dwayne, all day long I've been praying and feeling a heaviness. There was a burden on me. She had worked all day. She said, but there's been such a burden on me. And I've been praying, Lord, if you'll show me what it is, I'll do it with everything that's in me. And she knew when I said that God was calling us to work in bus ministry. From that moment on, I would love to tell you the day May of 2013, I pulled it up a while ago. It was, I hardly ever, if anybody ever messages me on Instagram, I'm rarely on Instagram. But I pulled up a picture of it. It's the old van, May of 2013. We got it all decorated up. And I went home that evening when she said she was for it. I took out some coloring pencils and I drawed it out. I sketched it out. And I took it to a guy did like law enforcement vehicles, things of that nature. He lettered them up. Took it to him. I said, can you put this on a church van? He said, man, we can do it. Well, I would love to tell you after our first Saturday outreach, we filled that van to the brim. But it didn't happen. We didn't have a single rider. We went out again, and man, we upped our game. Not a single rider. What I learned from the beginning of bus ministry is consistency is where it's at. You've got to be consistent. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens. It's rare that you're going to score a rider just right off the bat. You're new to the community. Even as broken as some of these lives are that we're dealing with, most parents are not just going to send their kids off with somebody they don't know. You've got to be a consistent face, somebody that is in their neighborhood, their area on a regular basis. You need picnics in their area. Your church needs to be a common name. I promise you, we're in a relatively small area, But 90% of this area, all you got to do is mention our church, and that y'all the one that run buses, vans. We are everywhere. And so, but at this point in time, we wasn't so much. And but we stayed consistent. I'll never forget, I was so desperate to get a rider because I knew that God had spoke this to me. I'll never forget, we was driving, and we was in between a couple sets of apartments. We was actually in this area Wednesday, and they've since shut down one of these apartments. It was one of our honey holes, and that's one of the reasons our numbers, and we're climbing. We're between 1 and 200 now back on our buses and vans. I didn't even realize it had grown to that point. But pre-COVID, our bus numbers exceeded 200 on a pretty consistent basis. And COVID hurt us a lot. We had to shut down for several weeks. But Brother Bradshaw told me that we're well over 100 again in our bus numbers. And so hopefully we'll see that tonight. It's going to be a little different tonight. Tonight it's a Friday night. Kids aren't used to being picked up on a Friday night. But I'm hoping we can have half that. We can pray at least half of those through to the Holy Ghost tonight. And so I believe tonight's going to be a great night. But you can see, I fast forwarded to the end of the story. Bus ministry began to grow. It started with my wife and I. We filled our van up. My brother was like, hey, man, what was happening was you will start having connecting points. Our first riders, Devontae and Javier, I'll never forget it as long as I live. Devontae and Javier, we didn't know them, of course, at the time, but we seen them walking from like one apartment complex to another, and there was a woman with them. And I assumed it was their mother, and we just started engaging in conversation. Come to find out, Devontae and Javier lived nowhere near our fishing hole. We was fishing hard in this apartment area. They lived in a house on the other side of town. That was our first riders. That's the law of the harvest. One plants, Apollos watereth, but God gives the increase. It's rare. Oh, it was for me, at least in the beginning. You work all the houses on the east side of town, you're going to get phone calls from the west side of town. Because God gets the glory. He's going to do it his way. But it don't stop us from going out and just fishing. We're sowing seed. We're fishing. We never know what's going to happen. And so a burden and consistency was the beginning of our bus ministry. We was handing out candies a winner every time. Passing out popsicles, it's a winner every time. And we'll go through some of these scenarios here in just a moment. But it grew, and it grew pretty quick. It went from one van to another, and fire spreads. And when this began to spread, it engaged, we started cooking teams that cooked for these kids. And it was a lot of it started with elderly ladies that couldn't get out with us because it ignited a fire. I will tell you this, our church membership grew by over 200 people in the last 12 years. And it was tied to bus ministry. That was our church membership. We went from, a lot of it was, now we're engaged in a lot, but a lot of our growth started with bus ministry. Right back here used to be a wall. We knocked that wall out. Where this little fundraiser setup is over here, we knocked that wall out. It was like everything, we was knocking walls out, and eventually we built our church, the building we're in now. But it was progression. Because ultimately we're here to win the lost. Kids is an element. I mean, it's an element that we work in. Kids ministry we're trying to develop. We're trying to change the trajectory of these kids' lives. But ultimately, the end goal is it don't matter if they're 9 or 90. We're trying to pull people out of hell, right? And so everything began to change. Before you know it, there was kids connected. Their parents was in jail, so we was in jail ministry. We ended up in rehab ministry. We was throwing fishing poles everywhere. So this isn't just going to stop with kids ministry. If you get involved in outreach and evangelism, it broadens, it expands, it grows. And it don't just happen overnight. It's just a little here and a little there. It would blow my mind if I could have blinked and seen all this happen. But it just happened, just a little here, praying somebody through here, starting a new route here. The other day, it was the craziest deal. One of our newest bus routes, or van routes, my brother, he had no idea. We won a doctor to the Lord, and Dr. Pierce, he'll be here tonight, I'm sure. My brother won him to the Lord. He lived in a community. This community did not have a van or a bus route, but they wanted to go do, this just happened, 2 months ago? They wanted to go do outreach in this area. We went and we found a honey hole. Man, there was kids everywhere, and they was interested. So I'm out there, and I have this great plan that came in about 30 seconds. When I'm seeing kids run to our van to get hot dogs and snacks, and I was like, we need a route now. I said, hey, tomorrow, there's going to be a bus here tomorrow. And I'm I never missed a beat. I said, and Brother Madison, who worked another route, he's going to be driving it. He's a barber in that town. I was like, he's going to be driving it, and Dr. Pierce is going to be his monitor. And I'm like, they're like, we are? I said, yeah, y'all are tomorrow. They had no idea. We started a bus route. There has not been one Sunday they haven't had riders on that route. They're bringing kids tonight. That started 2 months ago. And so you got to be, a lot of this stuff, we can overcomplicate it sometimes. We can get so, before, you can only come if you fill out this 5-page resume. You know what? Engage with their parents, get phone numbers, and however you do it your way. I'm just telling us with us. We can overcomplicate things. No, you can't get on the bus. I don't have, your allergy list. Well, talk to their parents. Ask them. But before you know it, you make it so hard to get on that bus and that van. That's just me. Talk to their parents. Find out, hey, is there anything we need to know? Any allergies? But don't make them fill out an 8-page resume to come to church. You're hindering yourself. This is me. You do it your way. We'll do it our way. But it began to grow a little here and a little there. Before you know it, Brother Aaron Baker, he runs a bus here in our church. I bet y'all pick up, as far as in that one group, y'all probably pick up 25, 30 adults probably every Sunday, with your route and some of the other routes. There's adults that ride. It don't stop. The end of the day, kids ministry is a great appetizer to win people to God. Lifestyle evangelism is essential in any ministry endeavor. Everywhere we go, everything we do involves a sensitivity of the Spirit. We're surrounded by the lost. When you go eat today, and if you want to eat, there's great food here. There's Mexican, more Mexican, and a little more Mexican here. So if you want, lots of Mexican food in this town. And so I'm just kidding. There is some more. I think we got Italian, and we got a few other things. But when you go eat this evening, carry church cards, because 100% chance you're going to have the lost around you. 100% chance lost people are going to be around you. So your lifestyle evangelism, you're on outreach 24 hours a day. The only time you get off is your 8 hours you sleep at night. But when you put your boots on and go to work, it's outreach time. Lifestyle evangelism involves a habitual turning of the knob. It's always looking for an open door. It becomes a healthy habit. I'm looking for ways to inject Jesus into people's life. God is not going to charge us by who ate. He's going to charge us by who we offered a plate to. When we get to heaven, he's not going to be like, well, they didn't eat. He's going to say, who did you offer it to? Who did you engage with? You've got to look, and I've heard this until well, what is your retention rate? Well, I had 100 come last year, and I kept one. Is that one not invalid? Jesus left the 90. You following what I'm saying? We can get so overwhelmed by silliness. If you're winning 1 out of 100, that's one that's not going to hell, right? And that's the way we got to approach this. We can be, well, is all those kids really getting the Holy Ghost? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But I'm not going to tell them they're not. Are y'all keeping all of them? Not all of them, but I showed you a few today that we're keeping. Just do you do the people stuff. God will do the God stuff. The definition of preach is the declaration of the gospel to unbelievers. And every one of us are called to reach, preach, and teach the gospel to a lost world. I'm going to give you 4 if you got your pen and paper. This is a broad evangelistic endeavor that we do here, but this is something that can turn into kids evangelism or any other form of evangelism in a moment's notice. I'm going to give you 4 things. I get a drink of water and hit myself in the glasses all at the same time. All right. These challenges are shared every service. We share these in our main sanctuary. We share these challenges on a screen. We challenge our congregation to everybody, kid, adults, everybody, hand out 5 church cards a week. We call it 5 and 25. 5 cards in 2025. Our theme this year, we usually have a theme, and our theme this year was Thrive in 25. Normally, our yearly themes are evangelism driven. I mean, more in 24, go ye in 23. You'll get what you talk about. You talk about this a lot, your people will get it. We've got 4 challenges that are shared on our screen announcements every service. And the cool thing is, these aren't original. I study revival churches. I seen this, I liked it, so we started doing it here. Number 1, gas and give. The goal is to initiate a conversation with a fellow driver at the pump. Most all of us drive, and so we share an invite, give a church card. Drivers are spending about 8 minutes at the gas station every time they stop for fuel. Invest 2 minutes of your time. What you don't realize is you're there to fill up your minivan, but God's trying to fill up your church van. And when you connect with that person at that pump, they may have 6 kids, and they're looking for somebody to carry them to church. You are watching. Here's the deal. You just be sensitive to the Spirit. God opens these doors. Number 2 is shop and share. I'm going to go through these quickly because, again, I started late. Shop and share. Initiate conversations with cashiers, sales associates, fellow shoppers while shopping or during checkout. These conversations could turn into a family of 5 that want to ride your church van on Sunday. The average person makes 6 grocery store visits every month. Engage in the mission. We had a family in our church Sunday. Now let me check this out. This is a neat. Has anybody heard of Spark or not the kids magazine, but the Walmart Spark or what's it called? Walmart Pickup. Whatever. We use that a lot. I like it. It's pretty neat. And so you say, well, I'm not going to the grocery store. Well, you're still encountering somebody. Somebody's coming to your house. This really happened. This past Sunday, we had a family in our church. Hopefully they'll be here again Sunday. We're going to follow up with them. We already have sent out letters, or should have, the person that sends out our letters. We engage with people when they come. There's follow-up is a big deal here. But they come to church Sunday because their Spark driver invited them to church. They said, there was a young lady, very nice and polite, come to our house, invited us to your church. They act like they loved it. Number 3 is eat and greet. When it's appropriate, share an invitation with the staff or the patrons of a restaurant. You'll often, how many times do we recognize the scars of sin on that waiter or waitress? You don't have to be a prophet to know if sin's in their life. You recognize the scars of sin. There is a great, great chance there's a broken kid that's connected to that broken lady or broken man. That initial conversation with that waitress or waiter could turn into 3 brand new riders on your church van. Number 4, walk and talk. When you're exercising, you're at the mall. You can tell I'm a big exercise guy. So that's not me. I'm walking to and from the buffet. When you're exercising, the mall, stroll in the park, look for ways to engage in conversation. A park picnic could turn into a park pickup. It really could. There was a sermon I had the wonderful opportunity to grow close to Brother Ari Prado the last few years of his life. And Brother Prado told me one day, he said, one of the best sermons I ever heard. One of the best sermons I ever heard. He said, it changed the way I do outreach and evangelism, was Thou Shalt Catch Men by Denver Stanford. It was preached at one of the old Because of the Times years ago. And it was an elderly man that went to the city of Boston. He was a Southerner, but he went to Boston and literally turned Boston upside down. But his way of outreach and evangelism was casual. It was looking for ways to engage in conversation. He and his wife would go to the park, and he'd be like, dude, I love that tie. I got a tie just like, and he was always looking for ways to engage in conversation. Before you know it, the guy in the blue jacket, we meet his son, and it before you know it, you ain't even talked about God yet, but you have common ground. I mean, we got a lot of things we could talk about. Hey, bro, I'm bald too. I'm messing with you, bro. I know you're fighting it, man. I know you're fighting it, but it's coming. It's coming. So I got you. Hey, he might as well bite the bullet, ain't that right? He might as well bite the bullet. See, we got things to talk about. Rogaine, all this stuff we could talk about. So, I'm going to get run out of here today. So, but you're looking for reasons to talk. Don't be laughing. I'll come after you too. So, lifestyle evangelism is a constant turning of the knob. It's always looking for open doors. The Holy Ghost will give you the utterance to speak into people's brokenness. But you've got to be looking to, hey, see if that door's open. Knock, and it shall be open to you. You just never know. You never know what's on the other side of that conversation. Let's talk about bus ministry outreach for just a moment. What time am I supposed to be done? In 15 minutes? 3:50? 3:50. Boy, I better hurry. Bus ministry is a way to activate a consistent sowing in our neighborhoods. In our church, door knocking is often tied to our bus ministry, Sunday school ministry. And I think tomorrow I actually talk about how we kind of engage all of these together. It's one big team. But bus ministry is a scheduled weekly sowing effort. This is the harvest. All farmers have to sow seed. Welcome to harvest in West Tennessee. That's why some of your allergies are messed up. They're cutting beans and corn around here. It's a scheduled weekly sowing effort. I love and believe in consistency. I've said that many, many times today. Galatians 6:9 says, be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. Let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. You're going to reap what you sow if you faint not. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 3, I have planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. Bus ministry outreach plants the seed, but God gives the increase. We cannot, again, I reiterate, and I don't know why we keep going there, you cannot be consumed with, well, I knocked every door at Westside Apartments and nobody came. But you had a brand new kid from Eastside Apartments. You can't be so, well, I did all the work. God gives the increase. You're going to be stagnant in your ministries if that's always your focus. I did this. God didn't do it. No, God's going to do it. You just got to stay consistent. The reason a lot of churches aren't experiencing revival is they get weary in well-doing and they faint. When you're active in the field, God constantly fills people with the Holy Ghost in the local church. Again, we've all seen it. You knock all the doors on the west side, they come from the east side. Just do what you are called to do, and God will give the increase. Consistency is key. Let's talk for just a moment about outreach teams. Every Saturday, we have an outreach team. We got people going out in every community. I could have, now, just a little side note. Can I pick on you the rest of the day? You good with it? You got to be, okay. 2 bald guys knocking on your door asking your kid to come to Sunday school, we're getting the cops called on us. They're calling the cops on us. But you bring, is this your family? I was hoping it was. So we bring his family with us, these 2 nice-looking young men and his wife. Everything changes now. It softens the approach. Me and him, we got a van with candy. We going to jail. And we're out there just trying to do the king's work. But the world looks at things just a little different. And I would too. There's no way. But you know what? Although our endeavors are pure, we're just trying to bring people to church. People look at 2 dudes out there with candy in a white van. They are not thinking Sunday school. Even though we're thinking Sunday school, they're calling the cops. But you mix our families with it. You put a wife, some kids, some teenagers. All of a sudden, the approach is softened. And we can accomplish our goal of winning people to God. It's just some common sense. And so his wife and kids changes the game. Before you know it, his wife's talking to the other lady, and the kids are engaging. They're throwing football in the yard. It changes the game. And so, just a little rule of thumb, men, if it's just a couple grown men knocking doors, you go and you're trying to get Bible studies that day. And if a mom and 3 young kids come, say, man, my wife, I would love for her to meet y'all. She's involved with our bus ministry. You can always introduce that concept, but your goal does not need to be focused on kids that day, just because it's a weird approach. It's just weird. That's just all it is to it. It's weird, but you can do it. You can go to senior living complexes and knock all day long a couple men. But don't let your target approach be bus ministry that day, because we don't want people weirded out by our church. We have a reputation. And so, but mix the kids, the teenagers. Now a couple teenage boys, that's different. A couple teenage boys, it's always still good to have a teenage girl running around with them. That changes it a little bit. Bus ministry door knocking can immediately shift to a revival invite, a prayer request, a Bible study, and much more. We are spiritual people, and we follow the Spirit. Common sense tells you a 90-year-old woman on oxygen in a wheelchair does not want a balloon animal in your candy. But we don't neglect the ultimate purpose because, well, she can't ride my bus, slam that door, and go the next. No. We stop because ultimately we're pulling people out of hell. So we stop and we're like, hey, ma'am, would you like prayer today? We can shift that. She might want a Bible study. At the end of the day, the ultimate goal is pulling people out of hell. But I've seen it. Not today, old lady. We're on kid outreach today. And this lady's, she's dying. She needs more. She needs it more than anybody in our city at that point. So we can't starve one to feed the other. They've all got to work together. And so every open door is a door to somebody's heart, somebody's life, somebody's soul. A lot of the adults that we have won from door knocking have come from a bus ministry. That was just our launch pad. But we have won so many. Brother Jonah just won a lady from, we had a park picnic, and he invited her kids to come to the picnic. This lady has been consistent ever since. That was back in July, August? Now she's got her best friend coming, and it's a brand new soul, but it come from a kid endeavor. Never neglect the ultimate purpose because you're focused on your bus numbers. Whether they're 9 or 90, we've got to pull them out of hell. We've got probably, I mentioned it earlier, probably 35, 40 adults that ride our buses every Sunday. Some practical tips before you hit the streets. Well, I see them coming in. Let's just keep going. I'm running so out of time. One false accusation can ruin you. Don't forget that. Always have, Jesus sent them out in twos, groups. That was a principle they used in the New Testament. There was always a group or twos. Now again, don't take 15 people to one door. They'll think you're the FBI. Spread out. Put 2 or 3 here, 2 or 3 there. Focus on the purpose. Pull people out of hell. It could be a VBS every Sunday, Sunday school invite. You come to the door. They come to the door. They're a 90-year-old man. Turn it into a prayer request. Just look for common ground, look happy to be there, and represent your church well. I'm going through this stuff fast. I know I'm missing stuff. And I do apologize back there. We started a little late. So everywhere they went, everywhere Jesus went, what was they doing? Somebody tell me. I'm going to get a drink of water. Hey, you go to church here? Absolutely, because I talk about it all the time. Everywhere Jesus went, they was eating. Was they not? If there wasn't enough food, he'd make some. That's it. That's why it looks like I've been with Jesus. So, everywhere they went, they were eating. There wasn't enough food. Let's turn the... There seems to be a principle there. Everybody wants something for nothing. A $4 bag of unfrozen popsicles that you can get at Walmart. Y'all have all seen them, the ones that leak everywhere. You freeze those bad boys, go out on Saturday. Now, don't wait till Friday night to freeze them. They're going to be soggy. So that's a little practical tip. Freeze them starting on Thursday night. You go out, and for $4, you can make 100 kids real happy. We are creatures of expectation. Make little things big. Go to the local print shop. Make up some pamphlets before hitting the street. We've done all kind of stuff. Chocolate chip cookie sundae. I remember one day we didn't get the cookies made, and I went to the Dollar Tree and bought like 3 boxes of cookies from Dollar Tree. It was like $3, and I fed 150, 200 kids. They could care less that them cookies was hard as a brick. They loved it. It was chocolate chip cookie sundae. We've got a popcorn machine. Pop into Sunday school. Cotton candy machine. VBS every Sunday. Make these pamphlets exciting. Free food, live drama. Well, I'll put mass choir. You never know. A parent may want to go. We are creatures of expectation. A Little Caesars pizza is a game changer when it comes to a fill up your van competition. Community events is a must for spiritual dominion. Community events is a must for spiritual dominion in your area. This coming Saturday, what's that? What we got it called? What's it called this coming Saturday? Brand new deal we're doing. The Harvest Harmony Festival. We're singing. We're taking over downtown. We're having a gospel concert. There might be 10 people there. They may be 10,000 there. I have no idea. Probably won't be 10,000, but there's going to be a lot of people there. Community events is a must. Take advantage of we have the county fair. This is a small town America. The county fair, everybody's coming to the county fair. Now, if you don't believe in the county fair, don't go to the county fair. But we like the county fair. So, I mean, I like it. I like to go and ride the rides. Not anymore. But age creates wisdom, and wisdom says, if that guy put up that ride, I'm not getting on that ride. So, take advantage of your community events. We put up a fair booth every year, a fair booth. We won a bus driver. She had to move. They moved off to Alabama. But we won a bus driver and a bus mechanic for several years from a fair booth. Handing out free water, popsicles, candy. Back to school programs. Don't just, Brother Eric Williams talked about going and reaching these schools. One of the best ways to get your feet in the door is find out what their programs are and say, hey, our church is going to donate 100 backpacks. Teacher appreciation programs. We have dominion in almost every school in this area. But our teachers know that we're in town. When my wife made up a bunch of baskets this year for brand new teachers in the school system. First Pentecostal Church is glad you're in our school system. Christmas parades. If you don't believe in Christmas, do a Thanksgiving parade. So don't violate what you believe. I'm just talking about us. Capitalize on holidays and yearly events. Turkey giveaways. We did Chimes for Charity. We locked up Chimes for Charity as a local Christmas program. They give out gifts to kids all over, needy kids. What that does is take us to areas where there's broken kids, and we can run a van there after the fact. We volunteer our time, not just because we're wanting to fill a van, but because we love hurting people. Not hurting people. We love broken people. Boy, we love broken people. So, I ain't going to charge y'all nothing for the comedy we getting today. It's not part of the program. So, backpack giveaways. We give away backpacks. This year we did, Brother LaQuante, we got together and we did a picnic every Saturday in parks all over our area. Our routes begin to grow. We have won a lot of people from picnics at the park. Now, what does that look like? We chose a park in Everett. We got a lot of little bitty cities and towns all around us. And we went to cities and communities, and we got the city park, and we just dominated. We had people out by the road with signs, free hot dogs, free candy, and it really worked. It was a great way to connect with the community. We had a lot of new riders from that. Fellowship was a foundational part of the New Testament church. The early church, they did not live in isolation. They lived in community. They continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship and in breaking of bread. They devoted themselves to fellowship. They devoted themselves to breaking of bread and prayer. They broke bread in homes. They gave to those in need. This is a part of New Testament revival. Food, snacks, all of these things, they work at every event. I'm hurrying, guys. They look like they're ready to just string me up back there because I'm going overtime. I'm the last speaker? Man, grab your water. We're going to be here a while. No, I'm kidding. I'm going through. Am I really the last speaker? Okay, let me end with this. I recognize not everybody pastors churches. For several years, until I lost my advertisement, I was a barber. But then I lost all my advertisement and I had to stop. Nobody wants to go to a bald barber. So, but I was a barber, and but until I became pastor, and even for a while I did part-time. But I owned and operated 2 barbershops. I was in both shops, 2 different states, one in Kentucky, one in Tennessee. I recognize the commission and your career can intersect at times. But 1 hour of your time a week is so crucial to reaching your community. I would make time. You got time for what you want to do. Just make it happen. I'll tell you this and I'll be done. I'll never forget, I was teaching a Bible study. It's probably been 4 or 5 years ago. And at the time, I got to thinking, my God, I'm reaching kids and adults and people. I mean, Bible studies is everything kind of runs together. We teach a lot of Bible studies here. And I was at a man's house, and I was like, God, my kids, they need me right now. I'm at this guy's house, and my kids are home by themselves, or not by themselves. My wife and kids are home, and they're waiting on me, and I'm out here. And it was hitting me. You know how you're teaching, but you get these weird thoughts, just the devil trying to distract you. And at the time, I was teaching about Abraham and Isaac and how Abraham took Isaac up the mount. And I promise you, as clear as I'm speaking to you, God spoke to me and said, if you'll just do what I tell you to do, he said, you'll never sacrifice your kids. He said, but you've got to look for ram opportunities. And that was what God spoke to me. I'm teaching a Bible study. I'm like, yes, Lord. So what does ram opportunities look like? All right, it's after an hour of, you've got 7 days with your kids. I recognize you work, you're busy, but a ram opportunity, instead of piling up on the couch, and I know you don't do that, go out and throw the ball with your boys. And you'll never feel guilty for taking an hour on Saturday to knock doors. Well, that's my family day. 1 hour. If you can't go on Saturdays, we went Wednesday this year because we knew Saturday would be full. I don't normally go on outreach on Wednesday. There was a lot of kids out. We made a lot of good connections. You'll never sacrifice your family if you take advantage of ram opportunities. I've got a daughter, it's a senior in high school. When God gave that to me, my youngest she's here today somewhere. She's probably not in here. She don't want to hear me probably. But my youngest is around here somewhere. I went home that day. You know what that causes me to do? Get the Barbie dolls and play with them. Play house with your kids. Do whatever you got to do. If you're a man, throw the ball. Build a Lego set. Take advantage of ram opportunities, and you'll never neglect your family while pursuing the commission. Thank you for coming. I had a whole lot more I wanted to say, but I run out of time. We'll see you tomorrow, I guess, or tonight. So let's do this again. Thank you for coming out.